Good evening everybody, it's Charlie and welcome back to another video on the Chatting Leeds YouTube channel. Hope everyone's doing alright today as always. So it's time for the final say, guys. So these are just my final thoughts on the game yesterday and a few bits and pieces that I've noticed on social media today. You may be knowing which thing that I'm on about in particular, and just some overall thoughts with some other situations, conversations that I'm seeing being had on social media as well. So yeah, just before we get into it, please smash that like button, please subscribe and share all of your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below as always. So yeah, Leeds 4, Bournemouth 3, after being 3-1 down in the game. Now, yeah, unbelievable comeback, unbelievable fight and desire shown by the players yesterday. But on the flip side, we should never have been 3-1 down to Bournemouth at Ellen Road after beating Liverpool at Anfield last week. That's just criminal. The fact that we score a penalty within the first 2 or 3 minutes should have maybe set the tone. It should have maybe sorted a lot of the players' nerves out, because I get it. It felt like a huge game, and it was pivotal that we got 3 points in it, which we ended up doing. But we always make it hard for ourselves, don't we? And I think the defending in particular, we are absolutely embarrassing in defence. Not great in attack, really. That changed in the second half when a few certain additions came onto the pitch, which I'll get onto in a bit. But if we're talking just on the first 45 minutes, the defending was embarrassing. It's been embarrassing for most of the season, really. Clueless. They don't look like they know what the plan is, who they should be marking in certain scenarios. Like if you look at Tavernier's goal, which is their equaliser, Koch heads it over and Christensen doesn't even know that Tavernier's there. Doesn't know he's there. I've seen it back on YouTube. I've seen it back on Match of the Day last night. I've watched it back on the Leeds highlights on YouTube as well. It's plain as day that Christensen does not know Tavernier is behind him. Is that a Jesse Marsch thing? Is it that it was too central? Is it Christensen, should he have known that Tavernier was behind him? Yes, he should have done, but is it also the tactical aspect as well? Who knows? Another thing, I mentioned it on my review last night. If you haven't already, please go and check that out. But I mentioned that I got into a bit of a disagreement with someone in the South Stand because I was shouting at Jack Harrison to get out wide and hug the touchline. And then he went, yeah, but it's all right shouting that, but it's a narrow system. And I was like, that is the point that I'm making. We have got 2 good wingers on the pitch and we're playing central. The style of football, long term, is not going to get us anywhere. It isn't. And it sounds daft because we've won 2 games in a row. The game against Liverpool was amazing. Real top performance. And I'd say probably just deserved that win, in all honesty. I thought, to a man, we were superb that night. But yesterday was bad, people. It was. For large spells, it was bad. The 4-3 and the comeback and the pure vibes at the end of the game. Look, I was elated. I ended up on the row behind me in them celebrations. I had people on top of me and everything. It was unbelievable. Unbelievable atmosphere, unbelievable thing that Leeds United managed to do yesterday. And yeah, it's 6 points out of 6. We're 12th in the league, which, based on how our season's gone, is very good for us at the minute. But we're still only 3 points above the relegation zone. It's very tight down there. We're leaking goals for fun against teams that we shouldn't be leaking goals against. And I think there's going to be, I said this last night as well, there's going to be a lot of games this season that are like yesterday. A lot. Whether it's at home or away, there's going to be a lot of games like that. I don't think Jesse Marsch has a plan B. Spoke in his press conference as if he was thinking of plans, plan Bs, plan Cs, even plan Ds. But there was none of that yesterday. There wasn't. Even in the second half, he just made some subs, which, worked, and they were perfectly timed subs as well, to be fair to him. But all he did was bring subs on. He didn't change anything tactically. It was still frantic in that second half. It just benefited us more because Bournemouth fell to bits. And again, this might sound like a crazy thing to be saying on the back of 2 wins in a row. I think Jesse Marsch is still massively under pressure. Maybe not in terms of the results in the last 2 games, but if you take the Liverpool game out of it, awful yesterday for 50, 60 minutes. Awful. Awful for pretty much the whole game against Fulham. Awful against Leicester. Yeah, the Arsenal game was good, but ultimately we still got beat. Palace. Everton only getting a point. Villa at the time were below us, only getting a point. And people at the time, even myself included, said Leeds would have beaten Forest that night if it hadn't been postponed. I'm not even so sure that Leeds would have beaten Forest that night. I think at the most we'd have probably got a point in that period. I'd be confident playing them now, I think. Exactly. I shouldn't have to say I think. Based on the position that Forest are in, the dead bottom of the league, they signed about 129 players. But I'm still not even confident that we'd get anything at home. Bournemouth massively surprised me yesterday. I thought they were going to come to frustrate. I think they frustrated us a bit. The time wasted a little bit. But it was nothing compared to some of the other teams that have come to us, i.e. Wolves, Villa, Everton. But they actually played quite expansive and free-flowing football, and they were cutting through us quite a lot at times yesterday. They were playing really well. And they'll be kicking themselves that they've not got anything from that game yesterday. I'd be fuming if I were a Bournemouth fan. And this video at the minute seems quite negative. Leeds have just won 4-3, having been 3-1 down. But I thought I'd come on this upload. Obviously, last night I was elated. I was really happy, so it was more positive. Today I think we've got to be a bit more real. For 50, 60 minutes, that was embarrassing yesterday. It was. It was bad. I was disagreeing, let's put it nicely, with a fan in the South Stand. There was other fans arguing amongst themselves. There was sack the board chants. The Bournemouth fans were singing at Marsch, singing you're getting sacked in the morning. And I'll be honest, when that third goal went in for Bournemouth and they went 3-1 up at the beginning of the second half, my legs just went and I just sunk into my seat. A lot of people did around me. And I heard a load of people say, that's it, he's done. Marsch is done now. And he needs to count his lucky stars today, does Jesse Marsch. Because if that had stayed 3-1 or if it had got any worse, he would not be in a job today. Can't get beat. Imagine if we'd have got beat 4 or 5-1. Imagine if it had just kept getting worse. I know it didn't happen, but let's speak hypothetically. If that had have happened, Marsch would not be in a job today. He's lucky that the subs that he made paid off, and they were good subs. Greenwood, probably best I've seen him play for our first team. His goal was unbelievable. Cooper played much better in the second half. Gets his goal. Somerville, I thought, was good for the whole game. Willing Yonto as well. Willing Yonto. I'm sorry, but Jack Harrison needs a break. Needs to be dropped to the bench for Spurs. Do I think that'll happen? Probably not. But it should. Because Willing Yonto did way more in that second half than what Jack Harrison did in the first half and in a lot of games recently. Connor at One Leeds. I watched his stream last night after I did my upload, and it's spot on. He says it a lot, to be fair, and it's right. Jack Harrison is a cluster player. You get a few good performances from him where he'll score and assist, and then he has a long drought where he doesn't do anything, and we're in the middle of that drought at the minute. Very much a confidence-based player, as are a lot of these guys. Is that a mentality issue? Could be. Marsch was on about having psychologists come in. I mean, come on. Come on. But yeah, the subs yesterday, the young lads, we've got a very talented group of youngsters at Leeds United, and I think they need to be utilised more. But this narrow style of playing is not going to get us anywhere, because we're going to have a lot of games like that if it continues. And in another game, we could find ourselves 3-1 down, and it'll be a better quality opponent that we will not be able to come back from. With respect to Bournemouth, it's Bournemouth. Like I said last night, and it's, if City are beating us 3-1 on the 28th, first game back, and he makes a few subs, do you really think that's going to be enough to come back against Man City? Hell no. West Ham, no. Newcastle, definitely not. Maybe Bournemouth and Forest and, teams in that bottom bracket, yeah, maybe. But after Spurs next week, obviously it's the World Cup, and then we come back and we've got Man City, Newcastle and West Ham all in the space of a week. How many points are we getting from those games playing this narrow system? Now, I know people didn't expect us to beat Liverpool, and we went and beat them. Do I think we're capable of getting something at Spurs next week? Absolutely. I think we can get at least a point down there, and I'd be happy with that. But you just never know with Leeds United at the minute. And I think Jesse Marsch is still under pressure. I said yesterday that my uncle is one of the most positive Leeds fans that I know. He always tries to look on the bright side of things. But even he said after a win, he still thinks Marsch should be sacked and he should be gone. And like I said again yesterday, I found that to be a very interesting point and an interesting thought. And I was thinking about it today, and I can get on board with it. I do agree in terms of the style of football is dross. It is so bad to watch. But I try to think in the mindset of the three musketeers that run our club, and they'll just see it as 6 points from 6. They won't see it as the performances aren't there. They won't have a look at the other 8 games where Leeds did not get a win. You know what I mean? They will look at it as 6 points out of 6. And that brings me on to the final point of this final say upload. A lot of people may have seen it on Twitter. There's a video that's kind of going around the Leeds United sphere at the minute of Victor Orta mouthing off at Leeds fans. Because obviously, as I said at the beginning, when Bournemouth, especially when they went 3-1 up, when they scored that third goal, I heard sack the board quite a lot around the ground. Angus and Andrea have all heard that. Of course, they have. They've heard it at other games this season. And I actually tweeted this out on my personal Twitter account as well. Now, yes, yesterday was a great comeback, an unbelievable win, and I'm so happy that we got those 3 points. It was vital we got that win, and I was as happy as anyone that Leeds United got that win. But on the other side of the coin, when your director of football is mouthing off at Leeds fans, going like that to them, saying, sack the board, going like that after just scraping past newly promoted Bournemouth at home, that is embarrassing. That's tin pot. And if it was another club's owner, we would be calling it tin pot. So you have to call a spade a spade. It's tin pot. The guy's a clown. You know, a few days after we found out that awful deal that you did with RB Leipzig, you're having to pay 18 million quid for a striker that's not even going to play for us. Which they know that we know that. And he's still acting like that after scraping past newly promoted Bournemouth at home. Again, great win, great comeback, but we scraped that win yesterday. We did. We scraped it. And he's acting like that. Calm down, Victor. Jesus Christ. Get a grip, mate. We are well within our rights to criticise some of the things that the board have done. We're paying customers at the end of the day. Whether you're a season ticket holder like myself that goes week in, week out, whether you're a member who buys your tickets per game, whether you're someone who, you know, it sounds daft, but even pays for Sky Sports, BT Sport, Amazon Prime to watch you on telly, who buys shirts, we're paying customers. So we have a right to have an opinion on some of the questionable, let's put it nicely, questionable things that the board have done of late. And for him to act like that, I just think is bang out of order. It isn't the first time. I remember, was it Brentford last year when we got that late equaliser? When he was like seen arguing with fans, he gets rattled very easily. And that tells you a lot, doesn't it? That tells you a lot. But we'll leave it there anyway, guys. And this has been the final say for Leeds 4, Bournemouth 3. I'm not sure when my next upload will be. I'll try and get some content out through the week ahead of the Spurs game next week. But yeah, if you've enjoyed this one, please smash that like button. Please subscribe. Share all of your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. And I'll see you in the next upload, people. Cheers.